I think it's hard because in English, that was good. I forgot the question. The question was, I'm so sorry. This one is for good. Awesome. Okay. So my name is Guadalupe Laiz. I'm from Argentina originally. I grew up by the Atlantic coast, 4 hours away from Buenos Aires, with 3 older brothers. And we grew up in an area there was not much to do except being outdoors. We grew up outside of the city in an area there was nothing there. We didn't even have neighbors there. So we grew up swimming and being outside. So that was really my introduction to nature. And I spent a lot of time on my own. So that was pretty tough. But on the other hand, is what made me stronger. Of course, I didn't know it at that time, but all that time spent on my own helped me to become the person that I am today. And then as I got older, I went through this sort of process of self-discovery. And the camera was for me the way of interacting with the world. I was pretty shy and introverted, and I started taking photos when I was quite young. And in a way, so much solitude and so much time on my own helped me to really listen to myself and basically follow my heart and my intuition. When I moved to the US, the idea was to find my path as a photographer, and I honestly didn't know where to start. I went to school for photography, and once I graduated, the idea was to become a commercial photographer, and I was extremely lost. I didn't know where to go or how to go about it. So that's when sort of my dreams kind of fall apart, and I had to come up with a new idea. And I moved to Europe for a minute, and I started doing different work, which was photographing cityscapes for a company in Paris. And that's really when my journey started. I was lucky enough when I was in Europe to take a flight to Iceland for 6 days. And when I was there, I discovered the Icelandic horses. And it almost felt like uncertainty and uneasiness and anxiety that was created by this unknown of my future sort of was gone. I realized that something there was a call, and it was something that was louder than anything I ever felt in my life, and I stick with it. I started traveling to Iceland, photographing the Icelandic horses, and that's really where the journey photographing animals started for me. There was something about photographing animals that was so enjoyable. And more than anything, photographing them one-on-one, spending time with them, photographing them in their natural habitat, as they are, as they should be. That was super interesting for me. That was really what made... basically, I discovered my purpose in life. I felt like that was the place that I was supposed to be. Very difficult to start traveling to countries on your own without knowing anyone. I remember my first trip to Iceland. I rented a small little car, which is all I could do at that time. And I literally started knocking on people's doors, asking them if they would let me in their fields to go photograph the horses. And they will so very kindly open the door to me and say, yeah, please. And if you want to stay here and sleep here as well, you can do that too. It was a long journey and required getting out of my comfort zone and practicing getting out of my comfort zone over and over and over again. And then from the Icelandic horses, I got curious. I asked myself, how would I feel if I was in Africa photographing lions or elephants? And of course, as soon as I got to Africa and I started doing that, I had the same feeling, and that sort of became a little bit a healthy obsession, photographing them on my own, as close as I could be, and then taking it from there. The tricky thing is to photograph the animals in their natural habitat from very close. My obsession is proximity, so the closer I am to the animal, the more comfortable and fun it is for me. I never thought that I would feel so comfortable being with animals, and the proximity with some of these animals that are extremely powerful, like polar bears or lions or leopards. And I think that's what I'm trying to translate with the images. Since my first trip to Iceland, I haven't been able to not go to Iceland. I'm there every year. I don't have to really plan it or think about it. It's just a necessity for me. It's such a strong desire to be in Iceland that I continue to revisit over and over and over again. The beginnings were obviously they have a big intention behind it. I was trying to work on this body of work to put together my first book, Horses of Iceland. But after that book came out, I just couldn't stop visiting. Every year, no matter how, maybe I was focused on a different project, like I was, of course, working in Africa, trying to build the body of work for the book Among the Living, but I never stopped visiting Iceland. Iceland is the one place that I must go every year. I always miss it. And photographing and not photographing, the horses are the main reason for me. And there's something very special there for me that I haven't felt anywhere else. So I don't think I'll ever stop going there. Oh, yes, easy. The reason why I fell in love with the Icelandic horses is because they're so different than any other horse I ever seen or encountered. They're the purest breed in the world. They've been isolated for more than 1,000 years. They're tough, they're stocky, they have the double coat that they grow in the winter, so they're very hairy in the winter. That's where I like to see them the most, in the winter. But they're so loyal and charismatic. They love being around people. And that's really how I fell in love with them. I fell in love with them by just spending time with the Icelandic horses. Is an experience that I almost feel like words are not enough to describe for me. The connection that you get with the animal is very different than any other animal. You can experience that type of feeling with a dog that is obviously a domesticated animal that you get to know, and you get to know the personality, and they're so loyal. That's a good way to describe the Icelandic horse for me. They're loyal and they're gentle. At the same time, they're super strong. The environment in Iceland is extremely harsh. So the Icelandic horses are born, and from the day that they're born, they're outside. They don't spend any time indoors, and that's what makes them so tough. The terrain is out of this world. They can run through anything, and that's something incredible to watch as well. But the winds and the storms and the harsh weather there, is what makes them so strong. And I think it's lovely. I couldn't be more excited about the second book. The second book is called Horses of Iceland in the Land of Fire and Ice. What's super cool about this book is that I didn't plan it. It just happened. I revisit Iceland every year after the first book came out, just because I had to. And it's not like I had to, I just wanted it to. And I continued to photograph the horses in Iceland when the book came out, and I was going to Africa to work on that project. Naturally, I just decided that I wanted to work more with the locals. So we wanted to transport horses, bring them to all these beautiful locations that I did not show in the first book. The first book, there's a lot of intimate, very close-up pictures of the horses. It's just me hanging out with the horses on the fields and things like that. The second book is the opposite. So in the second book, I'm basically showing the backdrops of Iceland in the most beautiful way you can imagine. There's a lot of photography done in the winter just because that's when it's the harshest. And that's what I love. I love photographing the horses when it really shows how tough the environment is. There's something beautiful about that. And we did incredible things for the second book. We brought the horses all over the place, from horses in front of an active volcano to bringing them to the glaciers with the owner Hilmar, which is an incredible man that owns third generation of horses close to the glaciers. He owns a breeding farm that is called Glacier Horses. So these horses actually live right in front of the glaciers. To all these hidden caves and incredible waterfalls, we brought horses to those locations. So yeah, it's been an extremely challenging project, but at the same time, the most organic thing that I have experienced, which is we're so invested and so excited to bring the horses to all these locations that it didn't really matter how hard it was. It was hard. The weather, the cold weather, the rain, the snow. Honestly, you have to see it to believe it. Sometimes the things that we have done is just, I'm so proud of it. And the truth is that we had so much fun doing it. Even if at the end of the day, every day we were exhausted and finishing wet and cold and in the dark. I think the book is going to show all this beautiful imagery in the best possible way. The book will be out this summer, so summer 2025. We had to delay it a little bit, the book, because we made it even better than we were expecting it. So Images Publishing is the publisher, is the same publisher that I partner with for the Among the Living, the Africa book. So we're super excited about it. It's going to be beautiful. It will be out very soon. Iceland is an extremely difficult place to work. It's, the simple way for me to describe it is complete chaos all the time. Nothing ever goes the way you planned it. For the second book that I've been working on these past 5 years, we work a lot with the locals, and we did a lot of production behind the scenes, meaning I'm not just myself photographing the Icelandic horses on my own and hanging out in the fields. We transport all these horses to a lot of different locations, and then we let them do their thing. But weather is what rules. You are at the mercy of weather every day of the year in Iceland. And the beautiful thing about that is that sometimes you're extremely stressed just because you have all these plans and you have limited time that you're spending in Iceland, in all these different groups of people and locals that are trying to help and collaborate and making things as smooth as they can, but then weather has a different agenda, so nothing works out. And in a way, it's a beautiful thing because you had to improvise. And when you improvise, that's when the magic happens. And it turns out to be 100 million times better than what you were expecting it to be. So in a way, you have to prepare and be as ready as you can and have a plan, but then you have to be ready to improvise. Things never worked out the way you were thinking they would. You are at the mercy of weather every day of the year in Iceland. And the cover of the new book, which is the picture that I have behind me, we had a plan that day. We were gonna transport those beautiful horses to a couple of different locations. A big storm came. We couldn't get anywhere, and they started running like crazy and running. And this image just was given to me by by higher power. And those are the gifts that you cannot plan or expect in ever. That just happens once in your lifetime, and it's, I almost take it as a sign. I feel like it's a sign that you're in the right direction. You're working hard. You're trying to make things happen, and then just the images just happen as well. Icelandic horses are known for the color variation. They have the biggest color variation that exists in the world. So they have all these crazy patterns and beautiful colors, and with this long mane, so they're absolutely beautiful. White horses are rare in Iceland, for that very reason. I call them the diamonds of Iceland. So what I wanted to do for the second book was to travel all over the island looking for white horses, gray horses really, but we know them as white horses here. And they're far in between, there's not too many of them, so my idea for the second book was to just do a series of only white horses and try to photograph them in as many locations as I could. It becomes, more so in the winter, it becomes fairy tale. It literally looks like it's fake. But photographing the white horses with the backdrops of Sjökustarlón, or going to the glaciers, or going to Skogafoss in the winter when everything is frozen is absolutely magical. It really looks like a fairy tale. Well, for the second book, as I mentioned, it's the opposite of the first one. So there was a lot of intention put into the images. We had visuals. I had visuals in my mind that I really wanted it to be able to create, in very specific locations. But then again, you're at the mercy of what happens. Well, when you're working with animals, you are not in control. And you can ask them to pose this way or the other. Like I always say, pictures can take a second or can take a month or 6 years. It really depends on what you're trying to achieve. Sometimes you have to surrender and just let things happen. But a lot of times when you have a very intentional photograph that you're trying to find or you're seeking for, you really have to be very focused and give it the necessary time in order to happen, to come to life. A lot of times it's completely out of your control. A lot of times you have to, with the intentionality, you have to keep trying until it works. Photographing in Iceland, like I said, can be extremely challenging. It is very chaotic. There's a lot of different things happening, from weather to curious people that are all around us sometimes, to making sure that the horses are not stressed. So there's a lot of different things that you have to sort of control without really being able to control. Sometimes it's madness. There's a reason why I like to photograph animals in their natural habitat, even though we are transporting these horses to photograph them in specific areas. We don't want to pressure them. We want to make sure that they're not stressed and we kind of let them do their thing. Some photographs are extremely challenging to get, and they can take years, and some others, they just happen and they're just a gift to you. The most important thing, I think, is being present and being ready for when things happen in front of you. It takes a lot of patience, and you have to allow things to happen when they happen, and you can force them. So I think that's my biggest job. And what's exciting for me about this second book is the first time that I did a collaboration. So I met Thrainn Kolbeinsson. He's from Iceland, and he's been incredible working partner from Iceland that has shown me the land in a whole different light. And he's the one that has been doing all these beautiful behind-the-scenes videos that we've been sharing, and the short film that we just released at the end of 2024. And he actually is going to be showing some of his work, all these incredible drone images that he has been doing in Iceland for over a decade. And some of these images are going to be in the book. It's very different than what I do, so I'm extremely grateful that he's been able to share these images with his perspective and have them published in the new book and showcase his work. We'll have more, I'm sure, to share with everybody, and probably we'll do some exhibitions here in the gallery with him, sharing his work that is in the book. So that will be super cool. I fell in love with the local people in Iceland. Don't tell them. I love them all. They have been extremely kind and generous to me since my very first day that I visited. They're such a big inspiration for me in my life. Their passion for their country and their land and their horses is something that they don't even have to express it in words, that you just feel it by being in their presence. There's something about them that is to me is beautiful. They're strong, they're honest, they're so willing to help. It's been an incredible experience to get to know them. To me, a lot of them, they're like family. They have opened the doors to me with no expectations at all, and they're such a big part of everything that I have done there. I owe a lot to the Icelanders. I think I'm grateful to this life. It's a pretty good life. It's a beautiful life. I'm grateful to Iceland. I always say I owe Iceland and the Icelandic horses, of course, their people as well, my career. If it wasn't for Iceland, I wouldn't be talking about this today. I wouldn't have had all these experiences and traveled to all these places and learned from animals as much as I have. I'm grateful to the animals. The animals have taught me so much. It's a language that I enjoy, that doesn't require words, and you have to learn to read other beings and other lives in a different way, from sense to body language to the environment around it. It's been the greatest gift I could ever ask for. Create a path on your own and figure it out on your own with your own resources and ideas, and having to build relationships at the same time as a wildlife photographer is extremely difficult. I think there's a level of madness that is required to be able to pull it off. You have to be willing to go to the unknown and go all the way. Basically, being able to follow your inner self, your intuition, I think is the biggest gift, being able to do that, because we become very anxious about the future, and we go for the safety thing, trying to make sure that our future is somewhat safe. Nothing that I have done has been that way. Everything that I've done from the beginning is trying to figure out a way to become a photographer has been completely out of my comfort zone. And I almost feel like if I'm not going the extra mile and I'm not very if I'm not pushing myself hard enough to get out of my comfort zone, then I'm not working hard enough. And I truly believe that. So it's a process, it takes a long time, and it can be extremely discouraging at times, but the universe has a way to always give you back what you need, even when you feel like it didn't come at the time that you were expecting it, but it always turns out to work out at the end. And there's something very magical and sort of mysterious about that. And I am a hard believer that when you give it all, things tend to work out at the end. Even when it seems like you're not going anywhere, you always ended up in the exact right place that you need to be at the exact right time. And I have experienced so many times in my life over and over again that when I'm looking for something, it might not come at the right time, but the more you try, the more you get surprised. And the rewards are even bigger than what you were expecting. Looking for images, I mean, I had experienced that a million times. You're looking for something and it doesn't come and it doesn't happen, and then the universe kind of like serves it to you and gives it to you effortlessly in a way. So yeah, it's been quite fun. Did I say buy the book? Buy the book.